The SCP Foundation deals with universe-ending entities on a daily basis. Lobotomy Corporation? Well, they're no stranger to that either. Abnormalities in that game can tear existence apart just as easily. And over the last few weeks, we've been taking Lobotomy Corporation abnormalities and dropping them into the SCP universe. And in the Euclid video, I snuck a question in for you guys. Which SCP entities do you guys want me to bring the other way? You know, into the world of Project Moon. And you delivered. From a virus that rewrites what you are to, and I kid you not guys, a modified Nerf gun, and a bunch of stuff in between. We're covering it all. Not just how Lobotomy Corp would handle them, what containment class they probably land in under Lobotomy Corp's own grading, not the SCP's grading, and what kind of gear we could rip out of them, and whether we'd get any of those famous ego gifts out of dealing with them or not. So, no more stalling guys, let's open with the big one. The one most people outside of the community even know about, SCP-682, and most of you know him simply as the reptile that will not die. The funny thing is what a lot of people skip over is the why part. Why won't he die? Well, 682 is the Crimson King's son. The Crimson King is holding on to his soul, which means 682 physically cannot take pale damage. And that's not my headcanon, guys. That's pretty much the reason he no-sells getting erased over and over again. In Lobotomy Corp terms, this is a high WA, low Aleph. I'm going to go with the WA for this. Abnormality built around a damage immunity. His hatred for all life becomes his instinct work loop. Feed him anything and he'll stay furious. Nothing calms him down and nothing puts him down permanently either. His ego armor adapts. It'd be a really cool new kind of ego gear that hasn't existed in LobCorp before because whatever damage type hit it last, the armor would evolve to make it nearly immune to that type. On top of it already being close to immune to pale from the start. And for the ego gift, we're going to keep it simple. A single scale off his hide, worn as a brooch, and it boosts work speed and fortitude. A small piece of something that refuses to die, which powers the person up to be harder to kill. SCP-420J is a tool, and using it raises your temperance, but cuts your work speed in half while it's active. And if your facility happens to have the well cheers anywhere in it, the moment this thing is used, your employee walks off and grabs a random can. No explanations are given. Somewhere in your facility, an employee is now on the clock holding a mysterious beverage that they didn't ask for and looking for the nearest stack of honey buns or Fritos. Guys, Lobotomy Corporation already has a plague doctor, but so does the SCP Foundation, and 049 is sentient. He'll talk to you, which kind of makes it worse because he's very polite. And he's entirely convinced that there's a plague loose that only he can see, and he will never stop looking for the cure. In Lobotomy Corp terms, that's insight work. An abnormality whose horror is that it believes it's helping you. His breach condition ties directly to that obsession. If melting love or nakedness pass on a contagion anywhere in the facility, that's what sets him off. He's not breaching randomly, he's breaching because somewhere in the building, his plague just got very real. His ego weapon would be a bone saw, black damage. Ego armor is the plague doctor's coat, resistant to pale, weak to red and white, and neutral to black. Ego gift is his mask. It boosts prudence and a flat +4 to work speed. We're classifying him as a he class. He's not the biggest threat on the list, but the doctor will absolutely kill you while he's trying to save your life. You guys also, for some reason, wanted his J format here, the joke sibling. This version escapes only when somebody gets hurt, so all the time. And he's not hunting some phantom plague. He's showing up to help, and his cure is a flip-flop he found on his way to you. This Zion class doctor is actually that rating, unlike LobCorp's doctor. Low threat, but he will try to heal you with a shoe regardless. His ego weapon is fuck it, let's say it's the flip-flop. It does white damage. His ego armor is a moss-covered brown doctor robe, and his ego gift is also a plague mask. However, this one gives you a +2 to work speed and a +4 to health. Smaller numbers than his serious counterpart because this guy's equipment came out of like a dumpster bin. He's the Timu doctor, if you will. This next one is an Aleph threat. No debate on that. SCP-106 is the scariest thing on this list, and it's not even close. Think Queen of Hatred with her sacrificing 3 random nuggets or clerks a day situation. Now fuse that with like the mercenary so you can pay to go out and do something for you, and you've got something similar to what we have to do in order to get this man back in his box. One of the buttons, let's say the repression button, would have to be replaced with a sacrifice button, because the only way to get him back is to break someone's femur inside of his box. When he breaches, he does not rampage through the place. He stalks. He slowly hunts a nugget, sort of like Scorched Girl, but way more deadly. And unlike Scorched Girl, he can pull them out of work with other abnormalities and drag them into his pocket realm, where they take black damage until they die, and there's no rescue from that space. Like well cheers, once they're gone for good. Once they're in that space, they're on a very short timer. Their ego weapon would be like a corroded orb or something that does ranged black damage. I don't know how to really do pocket dimension, but I know his weapon would do black damage. Ego armor would be like a normal nugget suit, but it looks corroded. Resistance to everything with a full immunity to black damage. His ego gift would be your nugget's flesh looks older and corroded. It'll give you a -5 to speed, but a +10 attack speed and bonus damage with black type weapons. So you're trading mobility like the old man for becoming a corrosion machine. Guys, after the horror of 106, we need something nice. Something like SCP-999. Think melting love, but strip out all the sexually deviant context that the community's attached to that particular abnormality over the years, because 999 is a good boy and does not deserve that baggage. This is just a happy blob. Zion class, baseline goo-looking ego gear across the board. Nothing here needs dressing up. The ego weapon is a feather. It doesn't do any damage at all, it just heals HP and SP. Ego gift is a bit of orange goo, like a kiss mark on your face that heals 1 HP and SP. That's the whole abnormality. It exists to make your day slightly less terrible. Guys, you sent me a pile of 001 proposals, and most of them end all of reality, so I'm not doing a stack of world enders back to back. I'm picking one. Lily's proposal. Something I need to point out is that Lily's proposal doesn't cause the end of everything. It's not the cause. It's like Silver Surfer is to Galactus. It's the herald. The world was already ending, and Lily's just the one telling you it's happening. Take the day off, have a nice week with your family, because everything is ending, and this one has no levels, no gear, no nothing. Everything will end after it appears. Alright guys, moving on to SCP-001-J, the big red button. And everyone who sees it wants to press it despite the giant warning label. Same setup as the Don't Touch Me button in LobCorp. Same curiosity as the trap mechanic. But here's the correction. The Don't Touch Me button ruins the entire facility if pressed. What does 001-J do? In its own text is stated, it simply destroys everything if it's pushed. The entirety of existence, not just one building. So, it's the same trap, it's the same setup, but one ruins your facility's day and the other ends every day for everyone, forever. You want to talk about things that ruin a lot of people's days? Let's move on to SCP-217, the Clockwork Virus. It has a 100% infection rate, so it's like Naked Nest on steroids. And it doesn't kill fast. It turns tissue into organic metal gears over years. And here's the detail most crossover content would skip. If an outbreak like this hit the city, the sheer number of infected non-humans running around would get the head's attention directly. and there's a real chance the head himself could get infected. Nobody is safe from this, not even the person running the facility. We're making this WA the same tier as the Naked Nest, but you guys could easily argue it up to Aleph. But the thing is, unlike the Naked Nest, no gear comes out of this one. None. Some abnormalities exist purely as a threat, not a resource, and 217 is one of them. Next up is a WA tool with the clock built in. First minute is genuinely pleasant, a song in a language nobody recognizes. After that first minute, however, it starts killing whoever's listening. Run for, say, a full 4 minutes, and whoever is left standing, they don't die per se, but they become more like the creatures that we had to deal with in Canto 8. Fungal, infected, and completely messed up. SCP-407 is useful until it's not, like many of the tools inside of Lobotomy Corporation. And speaking of tools, SCP-5094 is a Zion class tool. Set an employee in a room with it for about 3 minutes and it just levels up one of their stats. It's an AI stuck in a decades-old educational CD-ROM, and it wants to help so badly it'll just upgrade your staff just for keeping it company. Probably the best thing that any of Lobotomy Corporation's facilities would want in it. We're moving on to Justice itself, SCP-4494, and I'm going to give it a WA class, and one of the more mechanically interesting entries on this list. His breach conditions triggers whenever another abnormality breaches. Let's just give him the order ability, like with Little Red, where he can engage with the escaped abnos. But here would be his specific trigger, where Little Red has Big Bad Wolf. His would be on the Queen of Hatred, because whenever she breaches for any reason, he would breach too. If she's out fighting for justice, he fights alongside her against whatever else broke out. However, if she's in her dragon form, he doesn't help her. He fights her, trying to bring her back to the side of justice. His ego weapon would be a 6-shooter that does pale damage. His ego armor would be an old western poncho, immune to pale, resistant to everything else. Same profile as like King of Greed's gear, where the creature itself is a WA abnormality, but it does drop Aleph tier gear, which is rare and I wanted to point it out. Most of the time, gear kind of tracks with its abnormality class. This is one of the exceptions to the rule. And the ego gift is a cowboy hat that boosts speed and gives a bump to justice. If you thought I was crazy for giving WA to justice itself, wait until you hear what I give to SCP-3108. I'm making this son of a gun an Aleph tool. And when I say gun, I mean a Nerf gun. You shoot an abnormality with it, and depending on what you hit, it either downgrades into something weaker or mutates it into something worse to deal with. The example that SCP gives, if you shoot a brick wall with it, it becomes a pile of like loose rocks and whatnot. But if you were to shoot, say, SCP-682 with it, he becomes a worse thing to deal with. So the example I'd give from LobCorp is if you shoot LobCorp's Plague Doctor with it, it would automatically turn into the White Knight. But if you were to shoot the White Knight with it, it flips back and turns into the Plague Doctor. Let me know if I got that wrong. You guys can tell me your interpretations of that in the comments section below. Speaking of Aleph class entities, let's talk about SCP-1233, or the Astronaut. I know I haven't brought this up much, and I know that the classification systems in the Lobotomy Corporation are more about energy production than they are about danger zones, but what produces more energy than, say, an earthquake? And every time this guy lands anywhere, he creates one of those. Comes down and recruits people to fight space spiders, and then he's off. So if he breaches, he's not going to be rampaging through your facility. He's just fucking gone. He'll vanish until, say, your next work day in game. We're not giving this one an ego weapon, for he is the weapon. But his ego armor is a full space suit, immune to red damage, resistant to everything else. And his ego gift is a helmet, which boosts justice and movement speed. The scary part isn't a fight, it's that you have zero control on when he's actually ever coming back or not. Depending on how this next one would qualify inside of the world of Project Moon and the city, This next one is SCP-127, and it is the living gun. So yeah, if it does damage, it's not going to be allowed to be used anyway, but I'm going to give it key class tool. And it's only usable while it's got ammo loaded into it, and it has a clip that holds 60 rounds. So once you run it dry, it needs 3 to 5 days before it's usable again. While it's loaded, it puts out a massive amounts of red damage because it's literally eating through your targets because its bullets are teeth, guys. Yeah, bad joke, I get it. Whatever, moving on. Full transparency, guys. Earlier, I told you in this video, I was only doing 1001. And fuck it, I'm bringing in another one right now and on purpose because I got tired of you guys downplaying the SCP universe by saying, oh, they're so weak, they don't have that strong of entity. So, you know what? Fuck you guys. Here's the Gate Guardian. No, I'm not talking about Yu-Gi-Oh!
With your inscription, Gate Guardian!
This thing is so powerful, so massive in scale, that Lobotomy Corp employees wouldn't even work with it. It wouldn't get contained in a cell. It wouldn't even be able to really get classified. It'd almost certainly end up unclassified because anyone who gets within, I don't remember, many kilometers of it get vaporized. And unless it happens to land directly in the middle of the city, the facility couldn't even really set up a perimeter around it because they don't really go into the outskirts very often for things. This isn't even the strongest thing in the SCP universe. This is just the one I like to throw out there when people say, well, SCP can't compete with the biggest threats out there. Here's your answer to just one of our big boys, all right? Quick note before we close, some of you asked about SCP-169. No, I'm not. Dude, it's an entire fucking ocean. Some things don't get containment cells. They get a coastline and a fucking fence. This is, no, all right? It's too big. We're not doing it. But that's the list, guys. From a soul hostage reptile to a Nerf gun that can fuck everything up. If you've already got a new crossover list building in your head, my comments are open, and sadly I read every single one of them. With how many I got in the SCP to LobCorp stuff, man, I spent days answering your guys' comments. Thank you guys so much for making those videos so big here on the channel. Also, I'm thinking about doing something slightly different now, guys. Let me know if you guys think I should do something like horror stories where I talk about the day in the life of someone dealing with like SCPs or abnormalities inside of LobCorp. Or if you'd rather have me do something where I bring in like cute cuddly or very nondescript low-level things into the real world and tell horror stories about how they would fuck up many cities worth of people because we underestimate how strong they truly are outside of our existence. But anyways, guys, like always, be good to each other. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.